Hey, everybody. I know that we all know that today and this week, and really for a long time, things have not been okay. Um, I wanted to come and talk to you all about some things, but first I want to tell you why we're proposing the policies that we're proposing. We saw last night, I was up most of the night watching the Unicorn Riot um, live feed of what's happening uh, in Minneapolis. Um, what I saw there was people who are grieving and in pain and are faced with a system that has not listened, a system that when a knee was taken to protest, it wasn't okay. Now, when a actual protest takes place, hundreds of people, now that's not okay. So I think that instead of discussing how the method of protesting should be, we should really be discussing what needs to change. And that's a discussion we wanted to start today and continue because it's been going on for a long time, but enough people haven't been listening. So, what we've proposed are 20 specific reforms that we can make to law enforcement in Tennessee starting now, right? We've put the link to those 20 reforms in our uh, policy that we've put the link to in the description of this video. So please go and look at those. The reason that we're doing this is that we need to reform and descope law enforcement in Tennessee. And that's not just good for people, it's good for law enforcement. Law enforcement has been used as a catch-all thing. Law enforcement, our police officers have become the primary providers of mental health in many parts of the state. We need to rein that back in. We need to make sure that we are, if you call 911 for a very specific thing, that doesn't automatically mean that you get law enforcement. It means that you get a service to deal with that specific issue. But why are we doing this? We're doing it because George Floyd should still be alive today. George Floyd's death at the hands of the Minneapolis Police Department is a grave injustice. But his death is not an anomaly. His death is part of a long string of state-inflicted violence on Black Americans. And this horror has to stop. That is why we are proposing these 20 reforms that could descope and limit the power of law enforcement in Tennessee. We cannot wait for the next Trayvon Martin, Eric Gardner, Michael Brown, Tamir Rice, Freddie Gray, Sandra Bland, George Floyd. The pain, injustice, heartache, and violence must end now. This is how we begin to account for the innumerable lives lost. This is how we reconcile with America's racist past and racist present. And this is how we confront the hard truths regarding the nature of law enforcement in our country, in our world, in our state, city, county, at all levels. We have to start having these hard conversations. We can't keep talking about how people are protesting or the methods they're going about. We have to talk about how we meet the needs of the community and the demands. They're the same demands. Their demands are no different than Kaepernick's demands. These demands have been the same for decades. Stop killing people. Seems like it should be a pretty simple demand. But we have to do something. We can't just keep talking about it. So that's why we've given 20 things that we can do in Tennessee. We can do them this week. The legislature is in session. But instead of taking action and doing something, they're focused on anti-LGBTQ things. They're focused on this drone bill. So the incumbent to this seat and the Republican Senator Becky Massey got together to put forth a drone bill that would allow the police to use drones in our communities without a warrant. So instead of saying we need to reform and descope the police, they're going the opposite direction, ignoring not only our community, but the whole world. Instead of saying we need to end private prisons, they're taking money from them and supporting them. We have the chance to send an entire new legislature to Nashville. None of those people need to go back. If they don't take action today, tomorrow, next week at the latest, none of them need to go back, because this has gone on too long. I invite anybody sitting in the legislature, please use this list of 20 things you can go do. There's nothing stopping you except your racism. There's nothing stopping you except your greed. There's nothing stopping you except your unwillingness to do something for your fellow Tennesseans, your fellow community members. Our legislature is disconnected. We need to do something about it. Again, here's a list, 20 things of what we can do to, we will never be able to make up for even one of the deaths that have occurred. Every year, hundreds of deaths like George Floyd happen. We can't go back and make up for all those. But think about who we can save tomorrow if we do something today. Think about that. Think about who you are okay with dying tomorrow for your inaction today. Go look at these policies. Send us messages. Ask questions. We intend for this to be a conversation. This is not an exhaustive list. We need more than 20 things done. These are high-level strategic things that we can do today. But we need everyone's help. We need everyone to be involved in the conversation. Otherwise, we can't move forward. That's my big request of you today. If you have questions, send them to us. Comment on this video. Comment on our other policy that we posted. We need to have this conversation. I'm looking at you, white people.
Facts.
I'll talk to you all soon. Please get involved.